Heyo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We made it through another week. Whew, another week of playing guitar. I tell you what, man, I've been working on so much chicken picking and country stuff. My fingers hurt so bad. So I think I need to take a couple days break from that stuff. But don't worry, I got some cool stuff, reason why I'm doing all that, coming up here real soon. But anyways, I thought we would kind of like, take the opposite path of what is normally talked about. And myself, I talk about this a lot. Talk about how, like, the gear shouldn't be so important. Just practice, play, beginners, avoid this kind of like, multi-effects pedals and all that. And I wanted to kind of flip it around on the other side. I love looking at things through different perspectives. And I'm going to tell you why I think having different gear is so important. Now, this is not a video that I'm like, make sure you have all this gear, otherwise you're not a real guitar player. That's not the way that it is at all. I just want to kind of state a case a little bit for the gear, because I feel like, gear is commonly just always written off as like, you don't need all that, just play your guitar, just plug right into the amp. It's a good thing to do that. But I'll tell you what, man, gear has its place too. So let's get on it, and let me know how you feel about this too. By all means, let's talk about it. Alright, so in the beginning, yes, I think gear should not be the super extra crucial component to playing your guitar. Honestly, at the beginning stages, you don't really know that much about tone. I'm not saying that in a mean way. That's just, your ear develops and you learn how different things work. Now, I mentioned in other videos, having a well set up guitar, very important. That is certainly important. But as far as having a 12-string and different amps and all this stuff, and really what kind of sparked this idea for the video was the video I did on Wednesday. I talked about this amp switcher that I just got. Now, I'm not using it today because I have the Axe effects, because I want to use a bunch of different effects here in just a minute. But I've been using my amps a lot more. And one of the things that has actually, I've had people email me about recording for them and all this kind of stuff, is just because of, they saw, oh, you have all these different amps. Would you be able to track guitars for us and we could pick whatever amp you're using? And I'm like, sure, I don't care. Like, pick whatever you want. So, on that side of stuff, gear has been, really helpful. So it kind of like, I guess, justifies it a little bit. But even just from a creative standpoint, even if it's not your job, you're not working doing this kind of stuff, gear is so crucial because it brings out different sides of your playing. I know for me, something I've always referenced is that I view tones the most, not so much in forms of amps and pedals, but as guitars. So I've always viewed like, oh, I want a less distorted sound with more bite, I go to a Tele, I go to a Strat. Guitars for some reason are really what resonated with me when I thought of different tones. Now, as I've gotten older, I've started experimenting more and more with different effects. And I realized that the different effects that I turn on make my playing, adapt to them just as much as a different guitar does. And it's really fascinating. So like I was playing with this a minute ago. I want to showcase how important a very simple guitar part is, but with the right effects and delays, it really breathes new life into it. So what I was playing was this, while we were actually focusing the cameras, and I really liked the way it sounded. Whatever it was just something very simple. And like I said, I have a lot of stuff going on here. I have a chorus on, I have a delay, a lot of reverb, and a multi-delay. So let's listen to it. If I turn we'll keep the reverb on, but I'm going to turn off all the other extra stuff and see if it sounds the same. I'm not saying one sounded better or worse. It sounds different, especially, if I take the reverb off, listen to how different. Now here it is with everything back on. And to me, I like everything back on because it creates atmosphere. And this is where I think gear can really be crucial in creating just the overall vibe. Because listen. That's the F sharp, that's where I should have went to before. Okay, so already I'm really liking the way that sounds, but another crucial component of everything that I'm playing right now is obviously I'm playing on a 12 string. Now, a 12 string has been, without a doubt, one of the most just inspiring guitars that I've gotten. I think I got this guitar maybe 2 years ago, and I love it. I try to use it whenever I can. You know, it's one of those sounds, it has a very strong sound, so you don't get to use it all the time like you might want to, but whenever I can, I love using this guitar. I've been using it more and more because I've kind of been like finding ways to use it more because I just like the way it sounds so much. So listen to that same thing with a different guitar. So let's try not letting this fall over. That's my first step, and we'll grab something, you know, completely different. So like the 335. Now let's see how this sounds. Okay, again, now let's hear it with everything turned off and hear how much of a difference it makes to the atmosphere that it was creating. Now, with everything turned off, it actually kind of creates a different atmosphere. So, like I said, you know, the gear, the effects, all that stuff. Now, you don't need Nax effects. You could get, like, what's that line 6? It's the little line 6 thing. The Stomp, I think is what it's called. I have an HX Effects over here that can do anything that I'm doing right now. You know, as far as effects go, I think that, you know, the Kempers, the line 6, the Axe Effects, I think they're all on the same playing field. Even some of the other, I can't think of the other ones as well, the Boss stuff. Effect side, they're all great, you know. Distortion, I think, is where they start separating, where I think, you know, certain ones sound better than others. But the effect side of it, no. But like I said, just listening to that. So honestly, to me, without the effects on and through the 335, I think that it sounds sadder. It sounds very kind of like, just, I don't know, like, just bare. You know, there's not much there, you know, to it. But what I'm getting at is that, you know, I changed guitars and I'm like, oh, actually, I think I like it better without the effects on it. Maybe some reverb. Let's see the reverb. Okay, so I really liked that a lot too. But I'm like, okay, now what would sound cool is both of these together. You know, that's kind of where my mind goes. Because again, I'll play it with all the effects on it. And listen to how it changes. Like, for some reason, on the 12 string, to me, it worked. It all flowed. It went well. On the 335, I'm like, oh, no, I want less. I want less on this one, because listen, here's everything again. Yep, sorry, I hit the wrong note. There we go. So this is where, like I said, the different gear inspires you differently. Okay, so that was, like I said, the 12 string has been, oh my god, such an inspiring guitar. And this, I should add in here, this video is not sponsored by anybody. Let's see, so even like with this guitar, okay, so listen to this. You know, straight in, I got reverb going. Okay, it's like, okay, that's like a normal, it's got a lot of reverb on there. I would honestly turn that reverb quite a ways down. If I was going to use that, make it more usable. Now this is just the amp. I don't even know what amp I'm using. And that's one thing, you know, when I'm doing this stuff, I'm not really like, it's 6.5 Bassman is what it's modeling. I'm like, okay, now listen if I turn on one effect. And like I said, you kind of like, even though you're the common factor of all of it, you know, you're the player. At the end of the day, you play the way that you play. But when you start tweaking and turning all these little things that now you can't control without adapting how you're playing, listen to this. I don't know, I'm like, no, that doesn't fit that rotary effect anymore. Like, no, that's more of like an individual single note kind of, no, let's see. Then right into the distorter, but I could hear that like that's the intro, you know. Or let's just try seeing if it, you know, brings out some different stuff, you know. Never played this before in my life. See, and I could hear it. I go down. I could hear I wanted that bass note to keep falling. So again, you know, I might figure out what... There's the same thing. You know, whatever it might be, but like I said, already, just that sound is making me want to play differently. Other stuff. So like I said, I think gear has such an important place in it once you are understanding how you're using. If you're just using gear to create music, it's different than just having a bunch of gear to have a bunch of gear. You know, if there's no purpose behind it other than like you just want to have a bunch of stuff, then it starts to lose its value. You know, in my opinion, because I like stuff that is always serving a purpose. You know, like the 12 string. You know, I have other, you know, guitars like the baritone, which are kind of these like real like odd guitars compared to a normal guitar. But even something like the 335, you know, like when I'm playing this thing, I love this particular tone with all this reverb and everything. You know, I don't know, it just makes me want to, you know, play a little bit different than it would if I was plugged into, well, obviously the 12 string or the baritone, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I just think, you know, gear gets kind of like written off because we all just want to be like, yeah, you don't need the gear, you just play. And again, by all means, just playing should be priority number one, like 100%. But I think that there's no denying how much different effects and sounds and just different, you know, vibes that come from different pieces of gear. So at the end, to wrap it all up, like I said, I'd like to know what you guys think about this too. But overall, I think number one is obviously just playing. Just play, use whatever you've got. You don't need a bunch of different stuff. But I think there's no denying that different things can certainly influence you and create you to just play differently and inspire you in different ways. So I'm gonna bounce it on here, guys. I'll play you some rhythm. You guys were liking a rhythm I played a couple of videos ago on the Strat, and I'll give you a similar rhythm because a lot of you guys are like, oh man, I wish you just would have played that longer. So I'll do a similar thing for all you cool cats who wanted that. But other than that, I'll see you guys all Saturday, I think, with a live stream, and then Monday again. So later, guys. Have a great weekend.